Hanging out with my friend yesterday and we were talking about dating, and she was telling me how she's so frustrated with dating and with men, and she's just so over it. And she's 27, she's gorgeous, and I'm not just saying that because she's my friend. She's just objectively beautiful. She's from Brazil, she's sweet, she works out a lot, she's super fit. She's just had so many disappointing experiences over the last couple years. Like, she feels like guys just don't take her seriously for some reason. Like, they think it's okay to just treat her casually, even though she tells them up front she only is interested in something serious. She's not interested in anything casual. And some guys are just actually dumb. They don't know how to behave. On some of the dates, she'll like offer to pay or split something just to see how they react. Any gentleman is not going to accept that offer. He's not going to let the woman pay on at least the first handful of dates. And some of these guys will just let her pay. Like, they'll just be like, yeah, go ahead, you can pay for that. Yeah, pay for that. I'm sorry. He was just in the mindset of like, I've just been so disappointed by so many of these guys. Like, I just don't even want to try anymore.
I swear that men don't actually want to be in a relationship with the really attractive girl. They just want to experience her, be in the presence of her, show her off as a trophy, but they never want to actually date that girl because they get too insecure. And I honestly just met this guy, and he kind of told me the same thing. He told me he had dated one really tall girl in the past that was really pretty, and he got too insecure, and she was a little bit taller than him. I was an inch shorter than him, and he kept telling me things that I should have seen as a red flag, but I wasn't thinking about it. And now I'm currently getting ghosted, and I should have kind of seen that coming. So basically, he told me that he saw me at the gym 2 years ago and thought about me for 2 years because I was like his dream type. And then he saw me again because I don't go to this gym often. And he was like, I have to ask you out. And he didn't tell me that right off the bat. He told me once we were like a few dates in. But like, then he told me that like he genuinely just goes on dates with pretty girls just because he's in the presence of a pretty girl. Men really are just that simple. They want to be around us. They want to brag about us, use us as trophies, but they never really have any intention of locking the pretty girl down. And I feel like that proves my point because now he's ghosting me, but he's watching everything that I am doing. And I just think that most men can't handle the pretty girl. They can't. And it's just unfortunate because it's like, why did you have to pursue me then? Like, why?
If you're ever having a hard day, just remember, I've been cheated on. I've been cheated on. I don't have the beauty filter on, and these are my real eyes. And I've been cheated on. If you've been cheated on and you feel insecure, it's never about you. Because I've been cheated on. Surely it can't be about me. You might be thinking, well, maybe her personality sucks. No, unfortunately not. I'm hilarious and incredibly smart. And I got cheated on. And if you didn't get cheated on and you're not feeling insecure and you're just having a bad day, just remember, somebody had me. They were in a relationship with me. Wrapped around his fucking finger, I would have married this guy. Fumbled. Lost me for good. Forever. So you could be having the worst fucking day of your whole life. But you're not that guy. So it's not that bad. Unless you are that guy. And in which case, stop watching my videos, and my Instagram stories, and texting my family. You weird, weird little man. That's all. I'm gonna go cry. But I'm not that guy. So I won't cry too much.
You pretty women have the worst love life, hands down. Like, if you're pretty and single, it's probably not your fault. I was at a brunch with my friends the other day and they were filling me in. They were saying how you pretty women are not taken seriously by men because men struggle to believe that you're not messing around with multiple people. They can't comprehend the fact that pretty women tend to be at home watching Love is Blind on Netflix. I had to stop and think, and honestly, I hear it. Let a pretty girl try to tell me that her phone is dry. She must think I'm dumb and blind because there has to be an ex around at least. It gets even deeper. They were saying how because men have these preconceptions that pretty women have all of these options, they end up getting cheated on more and played because men become insecure and start seeking ego boosts from having having other women. Whole time she's out at recess and DOT rejecting guys, telling them I've got a man and no, I'm not allowed to have friends. A lot of guys just don't have the mental capacity to deal with a pretty girl, so they need cheating as insurance. Like, just in case her ex is still around, let me shout my ex. Just in case she's giving her details out at Eden Lounge, let me refresh my roster. Just in case she's responding to those hundreds of DM requests, let me like a couple girls' stories. Pretty girls don't have the luxury of innocent until proven guilty, but she's genuinely at home, sat in her bonnet, probably highlighting the Bible or something.
There's a belief a lot of people quietly carry when it comes to dating. That if a woman is attractive enough, if she's the kind of woman people call beautiful or pretty, then relationships should come easier for her. The assumption is that beauty protects you, that it somehow guarantees loyalty, respect, or commitment. But real life doesn't always work that way. Because if you listen closely to enough dating stories, you will notice something surprising. Some of the women people assume have it all together. The ones who get the compliments, the attention, the admiration, have also experienced some of the same relationship disappointment many others have. In today's video, we are looking at women sharing their own experiences about relationships where appearance didn't prevent heartbreak, betrayal, or being treated in ways they never expected. And before we get into these stories, I just want to take a moment to welcome everybody here. If you are new to the channel, you are definitely in the right place. This space is all about real conversations, relationship insights, personal growth, and learning from the experiences people go through in dating and life. And to all my returning subscribers, thank you so much for continuing to come back and be part of these discussions. Now, as you listen to these stories, pay attention to the patterns people mention. Because sometimes the biggest lesson in dating don't come from what we assume should matter, but from what actually happens in real life. Let's get into it.
Why is it that very attractive women often seem to have the most diabolically unhinged bad luck in love? I've thought about this often. I'm doing a series on limerence, and one of the comments I received in abundance was that this limerence often happens to very beautiful women. Thank you so much, by the way. But I want to say this is something I've noticed. I've been noticing it for years, and I have a few theories about why this happens. You know, recently there was a viral video on here in which a woman was discussing another woman's appearance with her husband, and he said, she's okay. She's about the same as you. And she gets very angry, and then the husband says, men don't marry the most beautiful woman they've ever been with because she's up here on the crazy scale. So unfortunately, there are some men who think that way. I don't know the percentage, but it's true. There are men who think that way. And obviously the thought of marrying someone like that is nightmare fuel, right? But I think what happens to a lot of very beautiful women, okay? If you are an energetic, beautiful, desirable woman, with a strong aura, let's say, you are kind of like a lighthouse. And picture yourself as this lighthouse, and there's a light shining around, and you can only see what is being illuminated in the foreground, which is a sea of vermin. And in the background, beyond the area of illumination, there's little cats and bunnies and things that you would desire to cuddle and bring into your lighthouse. But you are encased in a wall of rats and cockroaches. So what I've found is that a lot of very attractive women, they are swarmed, they are bombarded, and there is masculinity. You want a calm, grounded masculine. Yes, you want a pursuer, but you don't necessarily want
the person who is pursuing you the most aggressively. Somebody, there are little things to look at. For example, if somebody is texting you constantly and it's inappropriate in the context of the amount of time you've known each other. They're texting you every hour and you've been talking for a week. And you're irritated, and people unfortunately will suggest to women in this position, you're avoidant. I've had this happen to me. They're trying to, in this case, often create intimacy before the ground for intimacy has been laid. Do you see what I'm saying? So, or they're fawning over you, and only later will they discard you, right? Oftentimes the person who is fawning the heaviest early on will ghost. And we hear about this often. So you're dealing as a very attractive woman with a sea of men who are exhibiting the most aggressive behaviors. And you therefore become a bit psychically drained, because outside of this wall, there are people that you should consider, but they wouldn't show up necessarily in a way that would put your attention on them immediately. And these could be men who you find much more attractive to, but you wouldn't see each other or meet, because the energy of distraction, of people who fall into these they're not good options. There's something off. They capture your attention, right? So this is one thing. I think overwhelm. It's genuinely like overwhelm that floods the system. Another thing, beautiful women have been conditioned to settle. We live in a generation of women who it was a part certainly of my conditioning, that you should just be so grateful when anyone is offering you a little crumb of attention. You should offer them your softest and most vulnerable parts. And this is an orientation that many women find themselves in. And I wrote a Substack piece that touches on this, but many women settle for the monster because, we watched Beauty and the Beast growing up, and we were sold this story that the beauty settles with the monster. It's just what she does. And archetypally, the monster can turn into a prince, but in actuality, will he? Will he do so? It's unlikely. And it's usually the situation where someone settles, again, could be a man settling with a woman. I'm not discrediting that. It's very real. But it's usually the situation where someone settles, and in the partnership, there's an energy of someone feeling as if they got ripped off that creates a power imbalance that is completely unsustainable and incompatible with life. So here's the thing. You really don't want a power imbalance in your romantic relationship. Men and women are fundamentally different. But when you're entering into a partnership, one person is carrying everything and has, sort of an abundance of positive attributes, and another person is not bringing so much to the table. That situation is fertile breeding ground for, toxic energy. And I think a lot of very attractive women find themselves in this dynamic.
If you are an 8, a 9, or a 10, this is why you cannot date an ugly man. And this is important even if you are maybe a 4 or a 5, but you're dating a man that usually only dates like 1s and 2s. This still applies to you, so pay attention. Men that are unattractive, that end up in relationships with women that are incredibly attractive, will not do right by those women. Men that are unattractive, that end up in relationships with women who are above average in their attractiveness and their beauty, they will not, in almost 100% of cases, they're not going to do right by you. Okay, and here is why. This is also why in that video I made about the types of men that you should avoid when dating, and the very last thing I said was that if his ex looked worse than you, or she was a mud duck, if she was ugly, don't date him. This is why. Men are ego driven. Okay, they are not as tapped into their emotions and their feelings as women are, and especially when it comes to dating. When it comes to dating, men want to get the most bang for their buck for the least amount of effort and the least amount of energy and the least amount of money. Okay, meaning that they want to, within their social status and within their range of motion, depending on the type of motion that man has, that man wants to try to get the most bang for his buck. And if he's an unattractive man, he understands that being an unattractive man is not going to get him, in most instances, a supermodel type woman or a gorgeous woman. He knows that he's going to have to settle. He doesn't want to, but he knows that he is, because most attractive women are not going to give an ugly man a chance. Okay? So what happens is, when you are the type of woman that is, you're keyed into your emotions, and you decide, hey, I'll go on this date with this guy that's less attractive. You talk to him, you get to know him. You begin to tell yourself, well, I can look past his unattractiveness because he has some qualities that I find attractive. That's where you're going to go wrong, because trust and believe you me, a man is never going to look past your unattractiveness and look at your qualities. He's not going to do that. He's going to say, well, I know, like, she's got these good qualities, but this woman over here looks better. So he's going to still, if he has an opportunity to be with that woman that looks better, if she gives him a chance, he's gone. Okay. But women, often we make concessions, right? Because we're like, oh, well, he's nice. I mean, he's not a looker, but he's this or he's that. You cannot afford to do that, because once a man feels as though he has attained you in some way, okay? Whether it's you say, like, yeah, we can start dating, or yeah, I'll be your girlfriend, or whatever the case may be. Some of y'all even marry these men, okay? You are going to see that man slip into a different attitude with you. You're going to see his ego, you're going to see his energy shift, and he's going to step into ego-driven behaviors. He's going to start to feel like he needs to control you, because he understands that attractiveness-wise, he doesn't have what it takes to keep you, and he's going to start to become jealous. That's number one. He may even start to try to make you feel less than, because he feels less than, because at the end of the day, he knows that you are going to still attract a lot of attention because of who you are, and he knows that that presents competition for him, and he doesn't want that. Okay. Number two, that man is literally going to become so delusional, and he's going to be like, wait a minute, if I could get her, then maybe I could get. So say you're an 8, right? And you decide that you're going to give this guy a chance, and he sees a 9 or a 10 out. He's going to probably, whereas before he wouldn't have had the balls to even speak to her, but he's going to go up to her, he's going to do whatever, say whatever, he's going to buy her a drink when he sees her sitting there by herself, because he feels like, he's got a little confidence up under his belt because you gave him a chance. So you really, really, really have to keep that in mind, ladies, when you are dating these men. If he is not on your level, don't date him. Just don't do it. You will save yourself the heartache. I know that we've been sold that whole Beauty and the Beast thing, right? That whole thing that Disney sold us, like, oh, well, the beauty can go with the beast, and he's going to like treat her like a princess and put her up in a castle. No. When the beauty goes with the beast, he abuses her, he misuses her, he mistreats her, he cheats on her, he lies to her, he tries to break her down, and he tries to humble her. That is the reality of what happens when the beauty goes with the beast, because most men have not achieved self-mastery. And even if that man has decent qualities, if you are above and beyond in your attractiveness in comparison to him, he will always feel inferior, and he will always do something, whether it's covert, like cheat on you and you don't know, right? So that he feels like he has the upper hand, or he knows in the back of his mind he has something on you, or he will be very overt in his actions and try to belittle you because he needs to feel like he's up here because he's the man and you're the woman. Trust what I'm saying. Like I said, save this video, share it, okay? And keep this in your mind when you're dating these men. Don't ever date a man that is well below looks in comparison to you.
Your most attractive friends are single. I've said this once and I will say it again and again and again and again. Men go for who they can and women go for who they want. But why? I use this app called Astra way more than I thought. Whenever I have like a question or I want to dive deeper into a subject and like learn more, I'll ask the problem solver app. That I did. And you know what she said? That there's actually 3 major reasons. Number 1 is the men versus women energy. And that's exactly what I say. Men go for who they can and women go for who they want. And that all comes down to egos and men not wanting their egos to get hurt. So they don't go for people that they think could have a chance and rejecting them. Number 2, the why, as to why men play it safe. Astra said it comes down to 3 things: fear of rejection, fear of vulnerability, and protecting their ego. So basically what I'm hearing is they'd rather play it safe than shoot their shot. And number 3, let's call it the twist. That means that sometimes they don't go for the most attractive person that they see or they know. Go for the one that they know or feel like it would be a guarantee yet. Wild. No? So my question is, are most men even happy in their relationship? That's a question for Astra. Let's talk about why the prettiest girls get screwed over in relationships. It's always the pretty girls that are with guys that are noticeably less attractive than them who end up completely getting fucked over in the relationship, and here's why. It's because they're dating insecure men that can't handle their confidence, their energy, and their beauty. Here's how it usually goes. Normally, he's obsessed with her in the beginning and shows her off like a trophy. But then his insecurities start creeping in. He's intimidated by her glow and scared to admit that she deserves better. Instead of leveling up, he basically just tries to bring her down. Suddenly, he's gaslighting her and making her question her worth and making her think that she's the problem. Spoiler alert, the problem's him. The problem isn't the pretty girls, it's the insecure men that can't handle them. A secure man would hype her up, match her energy, and build her up even more. So to all the beautiful women out there, stop shrinking yourself to fit into a relationship with a guy that doesn't even deserve you. You're not too much, he's just not enough. Love you guys.
Being pretty isn't enough. That pretty girl privilege will get you well, and that's about it. Society and social media has sold you this fantasy about being pretty. Looks alone could never carry you. If you are depending and outsourcing your power into anything else outside of you, you are failing yourself. You'll get the validation that you're seeking. And maybe you'll get a man, but all he'll ever be able to say is that he built you. That's not power. That's a prison. The illusion of pretty girl privilege is glamorized about being chosen, but most of that is not real. Depending on looks alone will leave you powerless and replaceable. Your looks can get you in the door, but you being smart and you being knowledgeable and having wisdom is what keeps you in the room. Women who win is those who leverage discipline, skills, and systems. At the end of the day, you teach people how to treat you. If you show up broke, that's exactly how they go handle you.
After listening to these stories, one thing becomes clear. Appearance alone doesn't determine how someone will treat you in a relationship. A lot of people grow up with the idea that if someone is attractive enough, they will automatically be valued more, respected more, or even protected from certain relationship problems. But the reality these stories highlight is that relationship behavior is driven by much deeper factors: character, emotional maturity, values, and intentions. Attraction might open the door, but it doesn't guarantee how someone will behave once they are inside the relationship. What many of these experiences show is that loyalty, and respect are not rewards someone gives simply because a partner is beautiful or desirable. They come from the kind of person someone chooses to be and the standards both people bring into the relationship. And sometimes, the most important lesson people take away from situations like these is realizing that being valued in a relationship isn't about competing on appearance. It's about paying attention to patterns, consistency, and how someone shows up over time. Because when someone is truly serious about you, their behavior tends to remove confusion rather than create it. I would be interested to hear your perspective on this. Do you think attractiveness changes how people are treated in relationships? Or do you think other factors matter far more in the long run? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. And if you found this discussion insightful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more conversations like this on relationships, personal growth, and understanding the patterns that shape our experiences. I'll see you in the next one.